Let your English flow naturally. You know, sometimes the world feels too loud. Sometimes every step you take, every word you speak, every choice you make feels like it's under a spotlight. And no matter how hard you try, it never feels enough. You give so much: your time, your energy, your love, your care. And at some point, you wake up and realize you've given so much to everyone else that you've forgotten to give to yourself. And it whispers to you softly, maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop explaining, stop proving, and stop performing for people who weren't really listening anyway. There's something powerful about choosing silence, not the silence that comes from being ignored, but the silence that comes from deciding your peace matters more than everyone else's approval. The silence where you stop trying to fill every space with words, with reasons, with defenses, with proof of your worth. You begin to understand that your value isn't measured by how loudly you speak or how much you're seen. It's measured by the quiet confidence you carry when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when no one is judging. It's strange, isn't it? How much we care about what others think. We wake up in the morning and almost immediately our minds go to others. Will they notice if I fail? Will they care if I succeed? Will they judge me for the small things, for the mistakes, for the way I breathe or move or speak? And then we go through our entire day carrying that weight, as if invisible eyes are always on us, pressing, demanding, waiting for us to slip. But the truth is, no one is watching you as closely as you think. Everyone is busy. Everyone is caught up in their own fears, their own insecurities, their own battles. Most people are thinking about themselves, just as you are. So why waste your precious energy worrying about being judged by eyes that aren't even looking? Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's not about becoming indifferent or cold. It's about including yourself in the circle of care you offer so freely to others. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and protecting your peace is not just okay, it's necessary. When you protect your energy, you create space for growth, for clarity, for healing. There's a quiet kind of strength that grows in you when you step back from the noise. At first, silence feels heavy, almost unnatural. We are trained to fill every space with words, to defend ourselves, to justify every thought, every choice, every breath. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is where clarity lives. Silence is where you begin to hear your own heart again. It's in that quiet that you notice the world more clearly. The soft kindness in someone's eyes, the pause in a voice that says more than words, the gentle energy that surrounds a moment. And slowly, that silence teaches you who deserves your attention and who only values you when you're performing, when you're entertaining, when you're giving more than you have. When you stop giving unnecessary access to your mind, your energy becomes yours again. And with that reclaimed energy comes a quiet power, not the kind that controls or manipulates, but the kind that lets you decide when to speak, when to act, and when to simply observe. You stop reacting to everything. You stop letting every word thrown at you dictate your feelings, your peace, your direction. And in that stillness, confidence begins to grow. Not loud, not flashy, not needing approval, but steady, rooted, unshakable. Silence makes your words stronger. When you've spoken less, when you've chosen carefully when to share, people begin to listen differently. They lean in when you finally speak, because they recognize the weight of your choice. And the beautiful thing is, you no longer need to speak just to be seen. Your presence, your calm, your steady energy, that alone becomes enough. Keeping your goals private is part of this practice. When you reveal your dreams too soon, you expose them to doubt, to comparison, to people who may secretly hope you fail. But when you nurture your dreams in silence, they take root. They grow strong beneath the surface, safe from judgment and interference. And when the time is right, you won't need to explain your journey. You will simply show the results. That is the quiet power of focus, of patience, of self-discipline. Not everyone in your life will understand this. Some will question why you're distant, why you're quiet, why you're changing. And they might call you cold, selfish, or indifferent, but you are none of those things. You are simply choosing yourself. You are choosing your peace. You are choosing the version of yourself that is whole, that is healed, that is capable of giving love and care without losing herself in the process. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their need for explanations is not your burden. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your heart, to your mind, to your energy. Drama thrives on reaction. Every argument, every explanation, every attempt to correct someone only fuels it. The moment you stop reacting, the storm begins to fade. The gossip, the negativity, the judgment, they lose their power when you refuse to engage. You do not have to respond to everything. You do not have to defend every decision. You do not have to be the center of everyone else's narrative. You are here to grow. You are here to build. You are here to live in your truth. And when you take this approach, you begin to notice the difference between those who fill you up and those who drain you. There are people whose presence feels like sunlight. They celebrate your wins, they encourage you, they make you feel seen without demanding it. And then there are people who pull from you endlessly, who take but never give, who leave you tired, empty, and questioning yourself. And it is in recognizing this that boundaries become vital. Not boundaries as walls of anger, but boundaries as care, as self-respect, as protection. The mind is constantly moving, often wandering into the past, replaying old conversations, replaying old mistakes, or rushing to the future, worrying about what hasn't even happened yet. And so often it wanders into other people's lives, scrolling through social media, comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel, measuring your chapter 2 against their chapter 20. But this doesn't mean you're failing. This doesn't mean you're broken. This means you need to practice coming back, to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself quietly, what do I need right now? Maybe the answer is water. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's 5 minutes away from the phone, from the notifications, from the voices. Maybe it's simply a reminder that you are enough. Each time you return your attention inward, you strengthen the muscle of your focus. Each time you protect your energy, you reclaim your power. Each time you sit with silence, instead of filling it with noise, you grow more rooted, more steady, more confident in your presence. Silence can feel uncomfortable at first because we're taught that talking equals value, but more noise doesn't make you stronger. Presence does. Calm does. Groundedness does. There is an undeniable strength in a woman who can move through life quietly, gracefully, without needing constant validation or applause. And the truth is, peace is contagious. When you cultivate calm, your energy affects everyone around you. Your presence teaches others to slow down, to breathe, to notice, to respect. Not everyone will walk with you on this journey. Some relationships will fade because growth changes the paths we walk. That's okay. Some people will not understand the new version of you, the version who protects her peace, who moves deliberately, who chooses herself. And that's not a failing. That's a triumph. You are learning to invest in the people, the moments, the energy that deserves you. You are learning that saying no is sometimes the kindest thing you can do, both to yourself and to others. When you choose yourself, when you embrace silence, when you protect your energy, you become unshakable. The noise still exists, but it doesn't reach you the same way. The opinions still float around, but they don't sting. You learn to smile at misunderstanding, to walk away without guilt, to rest without apology. You become someone who doesn't need attention to feel alive, because your peace is your proof. So breathe, let go, step back from the noise, from the voices, from the constant need to explain or justify. Allow yourself to simply be. Protect your energy. Focus on yourself. Sit in silence. Listen to your heart. Watch your dreams grow quietly, privately, steadily, and trust that when it is time, everything you've cultivated, all the peace, all the growth, all the quiet strength you've built, will reveal itself in ways the world cannot ignore. Stay silent, not because you are hiding, but because you are protecting. Stay silent, not because you are indifferent, but because you are wise. Stay silent, not because you are cold, but because you are deliberate, focused, and strong.
And when you finally do speak, act, or share, it will be with clarity, power, and truth that cannot be ignored. Your silence is your power. Your focus is your strength. Your peace is your proof. And in that proof, the world will see a woman who chose herself, who healed, who grew, who became unshakable, quietly, unapologetically, beautifully.